Hello, this is KP again, and I came here today to clarify a few things that I missed out on my last broadcast that was talking about the prison industrial complex, and clear up a couple of facts that I got wrong. The first fact that I want to clear up is that I stated that Ronald Reagan was the one that started the war on drugs, and I overlooked the fact that even though he stated things about the war on drugs, it was actually Richard Nixon that declared the war on drugs in June of 1971, when he said that drugs were the number one problem in America, and that it was time to go on the offensive. And when he did that, he also gave J. Edgar Hoover the go-ahead to do whatever he could to disrupt the unity in the black communities. And his first directive, J. Edgar Hoover's first directive, was to all the police departments in the United States. He sent out letters and he told them to stop. At this point, stop arresting the white hippies for marijuana and drug offenses and focus on the black community. Those were his direct objectives and his direct orders. So, and those orders have been in effect since 1971, and they are still in effect to this day. I want to touch on a couple other things as far as like the prison industrial complex and the amount of numbers that I didn't give out the last time. And those are the number of people that are incarcerated today as of 2019, August 2019. Incarceration overall, 2.3 million people are behind bars right now. So that consists of 1.3 million in state penitentiaries, 221,000 in federal penitentiaries, 612,000 in local jails. We have 1,719 state penitentiaries, 109,000 federal penitentiaries, 1,772 juvenile facilities, 3,163 local jails, and 80 Indian land jails. So 2.3 million people are incarcerated in some form or fashion in the United States today. So that was just an update on some of the things that I was touching on in my last broadcast. Today, I'm focusing on a different topic. Just moving on to a different topic. We can always go back to that other one, and it is wealth and where we spend our money, and the disparity between the wealth in this country when it relates to race, black, white, Asian, Jewish, etc. And the numbers that I came up with, that I was able to discover, are so one-sided and so bizarre that it would take 30 broadcasts to try to rectify what's going on in this country as far as the disparity between wealth between black and white. It's amazing. It's truly amazing how much money they have and how much we don't have. So getting started on that, just bringing out the first statistic as far as the median worth, and the median worth is your value, just your outright value as far as the things that you own and your wealth that you have available. That if you had to go ahead and liquidate everything you had right now, what are you worth? And on average, the average white person in America, as of August 2019, is worth $265,000. That's what they have at their grasp. That's on the average. That's on the low end. I'm going to say that would be middle class, as far as the median wealth is concerned. As far as the black middle class and the median wealth is concerned, it drops from $265,000 for whites all the way down to $28,000. So basically, anytime if something goes down, you pretty much out the door, pretty much gonna be homeless, because 28 grand might last you a couple of years, depending on where you go. But at 2,000, averaging $2,000 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment in certain cities, it wouldn't last long. It wouldn't last long. So the disparity goes, and just talking about the money itself, cash money itself, and how we circulate our dollars in our community. Now, I really didn't want to get too political on this, but I'm going to say this. If this is just my interpretation, and I talked with a friend of mine about this, and he was saying that he had made a statement to me years ago about what we could do and what we should have as a community. And one statement that he made kind of stuck with me. He said, if black people would take their money and work on their communities, they could turn the hood into a paradise. And when he said what he said, I kind of chuckled a little bit, and then I thought about it. I said, you know what? You absolutely right. Because if we took some of the money that we spend on frivolous nonsense, just say like back in the day when cats was spending $5,000-$10,000, man, on a set of spinners for their cars, if they took that money and just the 10 grand and just like painted their house and got their landscape done around their home, that would increase their property value and their median worth by 10% just by doing that. So I mean, we could have a campaign to go out and say, hey man, we can do this one block at a time. We can just paint every house on this block today, try to get it to look good, go to work to the next block, to the next block, to the next block, and actually we could turn the hood into a paradise. All right, let me getting back on topic here. The amount of money that we spend is ridiculous. We spend a ridiculous amount of money, but this fact right here is kind of shocking to see that how long a dollar stays in the black community. It says a dollar stays in the black community for 6 hours. Not days, 6 hours. It stays in the white community for 17 days. It stays in the Jewish community for 20 days. It stays in the Asian community for 30 days. So what happens in that 6 hours that when we get that dollar? We take that dollar and we go to the local store, and just for my own personal reference, when I moved to Los Angeles in the early 70s, it was black-owned businesses from Central all the way to La Brea, from Pico all the way to Rosecrans. Black-owned businesses. Now, the majority of those businesses are either owned by Asians, Hispanics, or Arabs, and of course, a lot of white business owners as well. Ones that own stores like Ralph's, Boys Market, Vons, and Food for Less, and stores like that. In that short period of time, from 1971 till today, you can go ride through the hood and you would hardly find any black businesses, with the exception of the same repeat businesses. You got a beauty shop over here, a barber shop over there, nail salon over here, and the Asians are taking over all the nail salons for what I saw. It's just like, hey, when I first got there, black people own gas stations, stores. They own a lot of businesses, hardware stores. They own a lot of stuff. But it's all gone now. It's all gone. And so that, kind of, really caught me off guard. I was like, wow, how did we get from here to here? Remember, six hours that dollar stays in the black community, and then it's gone. It's gone. And the ones that are really getting over are the Asians, because they got the swap meets and their little stores set up in your communities, and they take that money and take it back to their communities, and that dollar circulates in their community for a whole month. So it's no when you look at what our communities look like, it's like, okay, well, it's obvious why our communities look the way they look. It's because everybody's sucking the money out. They steady sucking the money out, and they're taking it to their areas and uplifting their areas. Because a couple of areas that I went to that are like east of Pasadena, where it's predominantly Chinese neighborhoods. Man, those places are spotless, man, spotless. Okay, now this is another stat that kind of caught me off guard. It says 96.1% of the 1.2 million wealthy households by income are white. That's 96.1%. 96.1% of 1.2 million wealthy households are white. It says 100 whites control more wealth than the entire black population. 100 have more wealth than the entire black population of the United States. That's amazing to me. And it gets even worse with this. 5 white landowners own more land than the whole entire black population in the United States. That's 5. Just 5. It's sad, man. It's real sad. On average, it would take the average black family 228 years to reach or acquire the wealth that a white family has today. It would take you over 200 years to acquire what they have right now. So here's some of the things that we spend our money on, and the numbers are amazing. For men, we spend our money on toiletries, aftershave, cologne, shaving cream, the whole 9 yards, stuff like that. $62 million a year. That's black men. Black women spend $54 million a year on hair and beauty products. Black women spend $152 million a year on perfume and fragrances. Black women spend $573 million a year on personal soap and bath products. Overall, the black population spends $761 million a year on frozen meat and seafood. On bottled water, we spend $810 million a year on bottled water. On juices and drinks, alcohol, etc., we spend $1.4 billion a year on alcohol. Cooking oil, we like our fried food. $352 million a year on cooking oil. And if you want to talk about cooking, charcoal, $43 million a year we spend on charcoal. So, I mean, that's not the whole entire list. But what I'm saying, out of all those things that I just mentioned, we don't produce any of them. We produce none of those products. None of them. And, I always get into this debate with people about people that have black-owned products. And I was a black businessman at one time, and I had a small business selling hats and clothing, and I really loved it. I really did. It had its ups and downs. The thing right now that I'm looking at is guys that benefit, and they play the black card on us. This is our own people playing the black card on us. Guys like Puffy Combs, Jay-Z, and all these guys that have Ciroc and all this liquor and stuff that they pumping into the black community. uh, making money off of our misery as far as our drug addiction and alcohol addiction is concerned. Alcohol is a drug. So they're making big money off selling us alcohol. But the thing that upsets me the most about these guys, all the way down the line, not just Jay-Z and Puffy, but it's a lot of other people out there that are black owned, that have a lot of money, that have invested in their own, their own products. 100% of their products are being manufactured, as far as clothing, in China. And that really upsets me, because Puffy being in New York, Jay-Z being in New York, you mean to tell me you guys bypass Harlem and the Bronx and Brooklyn, and you bypass all these cities that you could have put a couple of factories to make your clothes, but you took it all the way to China. I mean, hey, you could have went to any other major black city in the United States. You could have went to Jamaica and built factories in Jamaica to create your products. So don't even ask me to patronize you if I look at that label and I see "Made in China" on that label. I'm not buying it. I don't care whose name is on the label, whether it's Sean John or Rockaway or whatever. If it has "Made in China" on it, I'm not buying it. I am not going to buy it. And you can, hey, this can be debated. Now, these things are detrimental to our well-being, and a lot of people always bash Minister Farrakhan for saying things that he says about this, that, and the other, but it's mostly propaganda, because he's telling the truth about a lot of things. And some things I agree with, some I don't. But one thing I do agree with is the fact that we as a people need to get our own. We need to get our own stores, our own farms, and create our own factories, and build our own supermarkets, hospitals, and things on that level, and support ourselves. We spend more money than any other nationality in this country on everything we buy. We buy more cars, we buy more clothes, we buy more everything. We spend more money than any other race in this country, and we got nothing to show for it but a few trinkets and beads. And I'm guilty of that too. So it's really sad, really sad. We got to do better. And I'm gonna cut this off right now and say thank you for listening to this. And do your research. Don't take my word as gospel. Do your research and see what you come up with. All right, peace out.